Well, there were four of us who created Dreamwell Theatre, Sharon and I, and then Allie Zimmerman and Paul Chakrin. And the four of us have been involved in a theater group in college called West Side Players, which wasn't part of the theater department. It was like this other offshoot group. And it was for theater people who weren't theater majors. And we had done a number of shows together through that. And so when we were done with college, we knew we wanted to keep doing theater. And Paul and I kind of talked about moving back to Chicago, where we were both from, and starting a theater company when we got there. And I kind of said that, and Paul said to me, "Why wait?" And we kind of looked at each other and said, "Yeah, why are we waiting?" And so we decided to, the four of us, to create Dreamwell. That's kind of how it started.
And we never did move back to Chicago,
no.
Which had always been, I think. So Matt is from a suburb of Illinois, and he came to the University of Iowa, as so many people do. And I think his parents thought he was coming back.
Yeah.
And he didn't go back.
Didn't happen.
Because there was a theater company, and
right.
me, I guess.
And we like it here. So. Yeah. So we decided to start Dreamwell here in Iowa City.
And at the time, I thought maybe it would have been nice if he'd worked with another theater company to kind of figure out what they're doing wrong and what we can do right.
Yeah.
And he's said or just did, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, so when you're 25 years old, you pretty much think you can do anything and just pull it off yourself, which is a great thing. You kind of have to try to hold on to that as you get old, when the world starts kind of weighing down on you. But yeah, when we were that, I was like, yeah, I can do it. Let's just do it ourselves. Yeah. And we really didn't. To begin with, we really didn't reach out to other companies or anything. But that changed actually.
Yeah.
In just a couple of years in. We did start working, talking to other theater companies. And the thing about Iowa City is all the different theater companies, everybody works with everybody. And that's just kind of how our community of theater is. And it's a really powerful thing. But it took a couple of years to figure that out.
And I think along the way we got some mentors.
Yeah, we did.
Jerry Rowe, Rachel Lindhart.
Yep.
Because while we were doing Dreamwell, we were also still working with other theater companies. Mm-hmm. Like we were both in a play at Iowa City Community Theater called Hay Fever.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And
yeah.
I think, is that where we met Rachel?
I think I knew Rachel before that because she directed me in Charlie's Aunt.
Okay.
With Iowa City Community Theater. But both Jerry and Rachel were really crucial to Dreamwell. Rachel, of course, is on our board now. But in those years she was not. But both Jerry and Rachel kind of were mentors for us and kind of helped us just kind of get the idea of how theater should work, and both helped immensely, especially in the early years, and Rachel just continued to help throughout practically.
So was Jerry, really.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they're both awesome. We looked at what was happening then in the theater community then, and really, obviously there's the university theater, which is a whole different ballgame, but then in our community, there were only two other theaters. There was the Iowa City Community Theater, and there was Riverside Theater. And so we were trying to figure out what's our niche. How do we fit into this community? City Circle, incidentally, was figuring that out at the exact same time we were. They were also forming as we were, and kind of completely separately. But at the time, we were looking at those two theaters, ICCT and Riverside, and what makes us different. And what we decided was, we wanted to do shows that maybe other theater companies wouldn't do. And that's really what we did. I mean, if you look at like even our earliest shows, like, we did Someone Who'll Watch Over Me, we did Corpus Christi. These are shows the other theater companies would not be doing for different reasons. And that's kind of been our mantra all these years, is to do those other kinds of shows.
And we really got that focus in 2001, early 2001, when we had a board retreat in January, I think, in Boone, Iowa, in a cabin. Yeah. And we decided to have our mission be a theater of exploration and to change the logo. Before that, in addition to Baby with the Bathwater, we had also done some plays, like Of Mice and Men was our first play.
Right.
Which is not something that someone else would have done. But we needed to get something that people would have heard of.
Right.
Brand new theater company, don't want to show up in the back of a church doing necessarily Corpus Christi right out of the box. So.
Right, yeah. So we did that. And so the early couple of years we did have some of those more traditional community theater shows, but I think one of the things that really helped us figure out who we were and move us forward was the influence of Matt Brubaker, who was our first artistic director, and who definitely had a clear idea of what to make Dreamwell and how to make us that theater that does do kind of the offbeat shows that make people think. And that's really been important to us over the years, is to really challenge our audiences and our actors throughout the years. So that's kind of why we decided to be who we are.
And clearly that was an excellent idea, since we're still here
20 years later.
20 years later. When we got started, there was some publicity.
Yeah.
You know, newspapers would write about us, and they would ask other people in the area, what do you think about this? And they would say, well, the average life of an upstart theater is 2 years.
As you can imagine, that kind of inspired us to make us last much more than 2 years.
I think the people
were,
definitely helped.
Yeah.
One of the good things about Of Mice and Men was we had a lot of good people in that.
We did. And I think what's really helped us to last is that from early on, we said to the other board members, the other people who were in this theater company with us, was that this is our theater as a collective, our group, and it's not my theater, it's not Sharon's theater,
right.
It's our theater, and everybody who's in our board, we want them to feel that and to be empowered by that. And what can you do? We're a working board, so everybody on the board, we don't just sit around and just make decisions. We do stuff. We are in shows. We are behind the scenes. We are working the box office. We're doing things, and that's really important. And so all of that creates a sense of feeling part of Dreamwell, and that's really important to us. It's lasted this long because it's not my theater and it's not Sharon's theater. It's our theater as a collective group, and that's kind of how I see it.
If it was my theater, we'd do more Neil Simon. But...
Yeah, exactly.
But that's Iowa City. That's Iowa City Community Theater.
Yeah.
Oh my! Money, space. Equipment. Our first set of lights was some DJ equipment that we bought from some guy. So it was.
Where did we get those?
I don't know.
I don't
remember either. But it was basically 2 DJ lights. 4 lights on a pole.
Yeah.
That lived in our apartment for the longest time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was no focusing of these lights.
Yeah,
okay, they just were like lights.
Yeah. So.
It was.
It was very exciting that the Unitarian Universalist building had a stage, but of course
Right.
it didn't have a stage that had lovely curtains. It had wooden curtains that could either be opened
wooden doors,
or not.
These large slab doors that we would open, which worked really well for things like Of Mice and Men when we were on a farm ranch thing. That worked well. Other shows it was a little strange, so we didn't always use them. We just kept them back. But
and not having necessarily the people to have the skills to build props. We had some crazy set experiences. We had to build a pool table for a play.
We did. That was like the first season.
We don't know how to build a pool table.
Well, when we had a pool table though, and it worked. I mean, the balls went in the pockets. I mean, it worked.
It worked.
Now we are much more fortunate to have people who know how to build things and know a lot more about lights, and we have real theater lights. It's in those early days we were making it up as we went along, and those were a lot of the challenges. But it's amazing to see how far we've come.
It was a pretty good set though.
Yeah.
First set, wood paneling.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Had hay bales.
Remember the door? For Of Mice and Men, the door. The dork fell off during the middle of the show. So he comes in, because you can open the door by pulling it in. Well, one of the actors always forgot that you couldn't pull it in. And you could push it in, but you could only push it in so it opened like this much. So he pushed it in and was sneaking through, and the door fell off. And he's holding the door.
Yeah, but I think he covered it. People breaking my neck.
Well, the boss came in and covered it. His name was Matt Weingarten, who I don't think was ever in another Dreamwell show. Perhaps because he had to grab a door and make up a line and get off stage really fast. I don't know, but we never was in another show.
It's art.
It was. So yeah. So we had some interesting things in that first show, but the show has to go on, so we just kept going.
We also had hay bales. That play had a set with hay bales on it, which. So
it's a lot of hay.
This is a story that's been told many times, but we got married in the Unitarian Universalist building in '96, and Matt noticed they had a stage. Well, he was waiting
to go up and
to get married.
Yeah.
So one of the bales of hay we covered with a blanket that we had received as a wedding present, which
forgot that.
still has hay
Still
in
has
it.
hay in it, yeah.
So that was not a good plan on our part necessarily. So these are the things you learn. Don't use your wedding blankets to cover hay bales.
Yeah. Why do we even do that? I don't know.
I don't know
why we do that. Anyway.
Where'd we get hay bales from?
Don Schneider.
I thought it was Don Schneider.
Don Schneider. If you need hay bales, I'm sure Don can hook you up.
Well, I've used it as a point on a resume that I directed plays, because it's certainly, directing is something where you have to organize people, you have to organize time, you have to get people going in a direction. But I think we've provided opportunities as directors for actors to challenge themselves.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key right there is we have always, the types of shows that we do are challenging for actors and directors. You know, when I think about some of the shows we've done, we did a show I directed, Fictional Murders, not that long ago. That actually, when you think about things that we've done for the community, that was actually a show written by a local playwright, Mike Moran. So we've provided opportunities like that for some of our local artists to have their works done. But then the challenges of that show, we had to, just the way I directed it, you know, it kind of pushed some boundaries in terms of things, and so it was a learning experience for myself, for the actors involved in it, and I think we've done that consistently over the years with lots of our shows where we provide challenges to our actors, to our directors, you know, working with the amount of tech that we have, which even now, which is a lot more than what we had way back when, but even now, it's still limited with the amount of technical things we can do in the spaces we have and such. And so having to be creative and come up with ways to make it work, I feel like that's definitely helped people to grow as actors, as directors, as people.
And the plays themselves make you think. You don't.
Right.
You usually leave a Dreamwell play with something on your mind.
That's
What? That made me think about something, or that
Yeah.
that made me look at something in a different way than the usual story or the way it's usually been told.
I think our goal is to, after you're done with the Dreamwell show, to make you want to go to a coffee shop or a restaurant or a bar or something, and then just have like a 3-hour conversation about what the heck you just saw.
Yeah.
That's our goal with Dreamwell shows, and I think we often accomplish it, if not all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love Neil Simon and I love musicals, but I'm probably not going to go deconstruct The Music Man. Love The Music Man.
Right. Exactly.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, we've done shows in all kinds of places, haven't we?
That's
mentioned
true.
that. Like the Iowa City Recycling Center.
Yeah, we did we did a couple of shows there. We did, you know what was one of my favorite experiences with Dreamwell was the show we did at the farm. We did Soldier's Daughter, which I liked for a whole lot of reasons. One, we wrote the show, myself and a number of different playwrights wrote this together, which was exciting. But one of the coolest things about it was actually performing it at the farm. We did something called Promenade Theater, where the audience would move to different locations around the farm and see different scenes in different places. And the idea of the play was a father was telling his daughter different stories at different locations around the farm, and so the audience would move. And just the opportunity to have actors running down a hillside as they enter is just amazing. And so that's an experience that I remember that I loved, and we had such a great time with, and so I that's one I remember and will keep with me. A show from really early on that I'm proud that we did was Lysistrata, which of course is not an unknown show. This is famous play from forever ago, but when we did it and why we did it is why I'm proud. Shortly after 9/11 happened is when we did this show. And after 9/11, our country wanted to go to war really badly. We were mad. We were angry. And we were hearing about weapons of mass destruction, which we now know weren't really there. And our company, and I don't know if you know this, Lysistrata is an anti-war play. And so we wanted to do that. And we chose to do that show at a time when it was very much counter to what people were talking about and where we were headed. And I'm very and I have to admit, at the time, I had really mixed feelings about it personally, because I believed that we might need to go to war. I was kind of on that side, struggling with it. But there were people on the other side with conviction who's saying we have to do this show now because it's important, and we did it. And in retrospect, especially, I'm even more proud of it.
So here's what happened with me: is we had a baby in 2000, and then I stepped back a little bit. This is not really a memory, but this is a story. So I was taking her to the board meetings, and which is fine when babies are little. Taking to a board meeting.
They sleep a lot.
You can put them in their car seat. And then she got bigger and started crawling around and being distracting, so I stopped. And I think still, Chuck Tufano was like, I wish Sharon would be here.
He does still say this to me.
Like, I wish I could be the person Chuck thinks I am. But
Chuck would always say that we need Sharon on the board because she cuts through the crap and gets right to the heart of things, which is absolutely true. She when we started going off and off, Sharon would always come up with the most practical, most important thing that we needed to think about right at that moment, and that was something that we missed. So, because Rachel was in Blackbird.
Oh yeah.
Which here's the thing about our children being in shows, they can't actually see the shows that they're in. Like Blackbird was about sexual abuse, so Rachel couldn't actually see the rest of the play. She just knew her scene. Yeah,
she was 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I actually never saw Blackbird because she was upstairs at the Unitarian reading a book until somebody told her it was time to come do her scene. So I would be up there.
And then Sammy was in
District 9.
No, the one oh jeez.
She was a ballerina.
Yeah, she's
not District 9.
Not District.
That's the movie.
It was the one with the
Requisition.
Yeah.
Requisition of Doom.
Yeah, something like that. Requisition.
Neighborhood
3. Requisition of Doom.
There's been a lot.
I think that was it.
So Sammy and
which is a great show. We love it.
But I think one of Kelly Garrett's kids was it?
Maybe, I don't remember. Somebody, yeah.
They were like little ballerinas running across the stage.
Ran across the stage, and they couldn't see the rest of that show either because there was swearing and violence, terrible violence in that show.
Yeah,
it's a great show though.
Great show.
It really was.
Terrible violence.
Well, it talked about
sex and murder.
It talked about computers and how video games are desensitizing and the violence that's in our society and all of that. It was a really powerful show. It was really good. But anyway, so they were in those two. Was Piper in it?
I don't think Piper's been in it. I don't know. Oh, Sammy was also in Gideon's Knot.
Oh, Sammy was in Gideon's Knot too, yeah. Which is another show she really couldn't see.
Nope.
No. So, yeah.
Dreamwell. We need Piper in a show.
Yeah, we do. I mean, Dreamwell is the theater where you don't bring your kids to.
Please don't bring your children.
Yeah, generally speaking.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
it's kind of awesome that it's still going with the people, because we can trust totally the people.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is, I said this earlier on. It's about it's not my theater, it's our theater, and I meant that. And I think that that's why I feel okay about leaving, because I know it's going to keep going, because there are so many people who are dedicated and determined just as much as I am that it lives on. And so I feel good about leaving in that sense. What am I going to miss? I don't know yet. After I go, I'll probably know what I miss. But
what are they doing that show?
No, I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy going back and seeing shows, and just enjoying that. Even though I'm still on the board, and probably the other board members will tell you this too. I kind of been pulling back a little bit and haven't been doing as much these last year or so, just because I think it's a slow transition, and I think I'm doing that for my own health in the sense of, like, I think if I just quit cold turkey, like if I was working really hard all the way up until the end and then just turned it off, that would be really hard. But if I slowly ease my way out of it, it works a little better for me personally. I hope people can understand that and feel okay about it. So I've kind of been pulling back slowly over the last year or so. And I'll keep doing that this coming year. That's my last year. But I feel okay about it. I feel like personally, artistically, I want to move in a new direction myself. That's not the Dreamwell direction. I've been doing children's theater. I've been working with kids and directing them.
So the kids can see those plays.
Yeah, kids can see those. They can be in those plays.
So that without like hiding
right
backstage.
Right. So I've been doing that, and personally for me, it's been incredibly fulfilling and wonderful. And I've been writing plays for children's theater and loving it. And so that's a whole new area for me. And I feel like in our lives, we can't just keep doing the same thing forever. We gotta find new things, new challenges, new exciting paths to take, and that's what this is. I'm heading toward this new path with young footlighters of doing shows with kids and watching them grow. There's a special moment when, as a director, you're working with a kid who maybe hasn't done theater before, and suddenly this light bulb turns on. And you realize that they get it for the first time, how amazing live theater can be, being a part of it. And it makes you remember when you realized that when you were small. And that's incredibly rewarding for me. And so that's kind of where I'm going, and I'm excited about it. And I think what I'm going to miss most, as I project here a little bit, because I don't really know, but I think what I'm going to miss most it is the people, the incredible people that who make Dreamwell happen, and not seeing them as often is going to kind of suck. So I'll have to come back and do stuff. And
hang around the library every second Tuesday of the month.
Maybe I'm just hanging out, guys. No big, just. Oh, you guys having a meeting? Oh, let's come out. Let's go. Well, what's happening? No, I'm not really going to do that. But yeah, no, I'm going to miss the people. No question about it. Yeah.
So I don't know that my role is necessarily changing all that much from where it was with Dreamwell, as regards to Dreamwell. As regards to this, it's, different pot of soup, same kind of thing.
You mean Footlighters?
Footlighters, yeah.
Yeah. Sharon directs for Footlighter too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she directs for them too. Yeah. I think my closing thought is just thank you. Thank you to all the people who have made Dreamwell what it is. It means the world to me that it still is here, and it wouldn't be here without everybody who's devoted so much time and effort, and it means the world to me. So thank you.
Thanks for sticking with us from plays that had 2 people in the audience to sellouts.
That's right. Thanks. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Dreamwell!